Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Panzer Corps II, an upcoming turn-based strategy game, and sequel to the 2012 Panzer Corps I, which itself was a remake of Panzer General, the SSI Classic series, that allows you to play from the beginning of World War II in Europe as the Germans through a series of linking battles and scenarios that build out into multiple campaigns that allow you to fight all the way from the beginning of the war to either the end of the war historically or to the sort of hypothetical ending of the war with invasions of the United States, I guess, is where it would all end. This is a upcoming game that is coming out on March 19th, so this is actually a preview build. This is not the final version of the game. Just keep that in mind. We're still about 2 months away from launch, at the time that I'm playing this, so I'd imagine there will be minor tweaks and changes. The preview build, I think, gives me access to 12 battles or scenarios. We are about to fight the invasion of France. Poland had 2 battles, Norway had 1 battle, so that's 3 battles so far. Out of, I think, a potential 12. Fall Gelb demands a 2-pronged invasion of France. While outflanking the enemy, while one outflanking attack moves through the Ardennes, one diversionary attack will attack directly into Belgium. So, this is another one of those branching campaign moments. The original Panzer Corps and Panzer General had these moments, but they were pretty sparse. They weren't very common. There were a couple of key decision points in the campaign. In this game, it seems like they're much more frequent. We had one before Poland, and now we already have a second before France. The strategic warning is letting us know that a rapid blitzkrieg attack that bypasses enemy defenses is needed at Sedan, so the southern attack, while the direct attack against prepared defenses is needed in Belgium. So Belgium is probably a more straightforward frontal attack, not moving too far across the map against strong enemy defenses, while Sedan is probably more spread out, less well prepared, but more logistically challenging, and probably a couple of key linchpins in the attack on Sedan. So that is what we've got in front of us here today. I do apologize, a couple of yawns in there. It is a little bit late today for me after a long work day, so I'll try to keep those to a minimum, but apologize for that. So what do you guys think we should do? I'm leaning towards Sedan. We went with sort of the narrow front, difficult terrain, difficult fixed positions in our last battle, and we suffered very heavily for it, and I think it'd be interesting to try out the blitzkrieg in Sedan driving to the coast is what I would presume will be our objective in this battle here. I also like the idea of actually blitzkrieging. We've got 4 good Czech-built tanks. We have the Panzer, I think it's the 38A TA, which is actually made in the Skoda works of sort of the Sudetenland fame, and was one of Germany's better tanks early in the war. And that's our primary armored unit in our corps. So I kind of want to take advantage of those, and I think I'll be able to take more advantage of that if we do the Sedan attack. I don't think there's any chance of a coup, P. Warner. The attack at Sedan is more likely just to outflank the Maginot Line in the south and the British and French door swinging into the Low Countries to defend them against the main attack against the front, and it really will sort of set up a Dunkirk-type scenario as it did historically. So I think we'll go with Sedan. You can see here, I do like how they've got the little graphics here that show where you're attacking. So if you do the Belgium frontal attack, you've got these 3 flags here, 2 French, 1 Belgian. If you do the Sedan attack, you've just got the French that it looks like you're fighting against. No British anywhere. So let's go ahead and do that battle. Let's do it! Apologies for bringing you back to active duty so quickly after your campaign in Norway, but there is a task that I think your talent for blitzkrieg is going to be a perfect fit for. Who is this, Supreme Commander guy supposed to be? High Command has greenlit Operation Fall Gelb, and it's aimed squarely at our nemesis, France. My old friend Manstein actually got this daring plan approved by High Command personally, overruling that pessimistic grump, Halder. Ha! Primary objective, capture all victory hexes. But now it falls on you to execute the plan. While diversionary forces strike at Belgium directly and the static defenses of the French Maginot Line sit impotently, you need to take your panzers between them both and through the wooded hills of the Ardennes forest. That will put you in an excellent position to occupy Sedan, your primary objective. Okay, so this isn't the drive to the coast. This is literally just a Sedan, it looks like. Once you're through the forest and over the Meuse River, only 2 more objectives remain. One here and another here. At Philippeville in Hirson. Success in this region will put you in an incredible position against our enemies, but there is no room for failure as all elements of surprise will have been lost. Looks like we got another hero, Lars Schultz. He is legendary, gives 20 prestige per turn. Well, we definitely want that. I think we'll give our first hero unit to our armor. We're going to give it down here to the 17th Panzer. They have 1.5 experience, so these guys are very good units. So we'll go ahead and give strengthen. We'll reinforce success. And give Lars Schultz to them. Alright, meanwhile, we need to reinforce our other troops all up to full strength before we deploy them. I think I got the armor up to full strength, but the infantry is somewhat beat down a bit. I don't even have enough money to replace them all. Damn. So my air force is all at 100%, my artillery's at 100%, my armor's at 100%, my infantry's at 100% minus 1 unit, a very experienced and good unit. I'm going to take a little bit of an experience hit just for 1 replacement. I don't think it's worth that. I don't have any money for new stuff. And I'm a little bit under strength. So that last battle didn't leave us in great position to have success here. Alright, so we've got this large deployment area back here to the east, Trier. We have to take Luxembourg and Bastogne. It looks like there's 2 main roadways we need to advance along. First off, there are French strong points on the northern edge of the Maginot Line here, so our flank will potentially be exposed a little bit. But we do need to drive west along this roadway here at Luxembourg to take Luxembourg and then move on Sedan, the key sort of fortress complex over here on the flank of the I think it's a fortress complex. On the flank, maybe not, on the flank of the Maginot Line. And then we need to drive further west against Hirson. Meanwhile, in the north, we need to take Bastogne of the Battle of the Bulge fame. And then we continue driving west along this roadway, eventually kind of taking a small detour road through the forest and then against Philippeville. Honestly, I think we're probably better off focusing the vast majority of our strength in the south. We'll leave some troops in the north to deal with Bastogne, but the major roadway moves from Luxembourg west to Sedan and then north to Philippeville and Hirson. So I think rather than trying to cross through difficult wooded terrain, we'd be better off keeping the bulk of our force down this way. Of course, the wooded terrain will make panzers a little bit less ideally suited, but that's just the fact this entire map is going to be a bit of a challenge. So let's do this. Let's deploy the bulk of our forces and Anatastic, thank you very much for the follow. Let's go ahead and do this. We're not even upgrading any of our units actually. I'm trying to see here. It looks like we have 2 new units now. We have the Panzer IV-D and the Panzer III-F. Both are substantial improvements over our Panzer 38 TAs, but we don't have money to upgrade our existing units here. So we'll have to kind of keep that as it, at least I think they're substantial upgrades. Go to the Panzer IV-D, you can see it's actually way better against infantry, massively better, an 8-point improvement in infantry combat, slightly worse against tanks, probably because it has that low velocity gun. The Panzer III-F, on the other hand, is equal in both infantry and tank fighting. It has worse ammunition capacity, and it's more expensive. It is slightly better on the defensive, though, in the ground. So actually, that's interesting. Maybe we're still okay using the Panzer 35A. I guess it says Aus C there, but it says 35A here, so I'm not quite sure about that. In any event, let's go ahead and start deploying our troops. So in the north, we'll deploy 1 tank, and then we'll deploy, I think, 2 infantry and an artillery. I'm hoping that's enough to deal with this city over here. Probably should also put 1 more infantry in the north just to see if we can take out St. Vith. I don't know if there's any Frenchmen up there or Belgian troops up there, but I don't want to be surprised by, you know, our bases being flanked and taken. Meanwhile, the bulk of our force is going to focus in the south, so we'll put our 3 tanks up here. They're going to be hopefully using these nice bridges here to move through open terrain. The terrain is open up to Luxembourg, so the first objective, I'm hoping we can blitzkrieg. So we'll go ahead and put our 3 tanks here, I think, and then we'll put our artillery here. I thought we had a second or a third artillery unit. Did I deploy it? Yeah, I've already deployed it. So I've got a 10.5 centimeter artillery, then I've got the 3rd Sturmpanzer artillery, and then we've got another 10.5 centimeter artillery. So we have 3 artillery units. Meanwhile, all of our air is going to be in the south. The 2 tactical bombers, the 1 strategic, and then, of course, the 1 Messerschmitt. We'll have to hope the enemy doesn't have a large number of large number of air units here, because we won't be well suited to deal with that. So all of our units are deployed. We'll go ahead and we don't have any more money left, even though we could fit 9 more core slots. So we'll have to go ahead and move forward here. We get a little bit of money just to start, I guess. So actually, I'll spend that money instantly on our first turn to reinforce this infantry unit to near full strength, up to 13, and we'll kind of maintain it where it's at. Meanwhile, I'm going to use my BF-109 to fly forward here to scout. I don't actually see enemy troops, so we're going to drive through Luxembourg. So we'll move these armored units this way. We'll take Luxembourg with our 3rd tank. And just like that, we're blitzkrieging through the enemy lines. I'm guessing the enemy may attack our flank out of the Maginot Line here at Luxembourg. That would be the logical way for the scenario design to kind of encourage you to move north through Bastogne. Alright, so we'll bomb these guys. Meanwhile, our tanks will race forward through to Belgium. Our artillery will race in after them. This infantry will move in and take this Luxembourgian city. Luxembourgian? That's not a word. We've got some mountain troops over here. And I guess we'll move these guys over here. Meanwhile, there is a Belgian unit up here, so they're within range. I think we'll go ahead and hit them with Stukas. I don't have anything else to attack. I guess I can attack some of these forts. I don't know what their range is or anything like that. Doesn't look like there's any mobile infantry here in the south, so that should help. Meanwhile, my Stukas will bomb the fort, which actually looks like it's pretty vulnerable. I'll probably these strong points I think are just machine gun posts, but the forts behind them would be the challenge from an artillery on our flank perspective, I think. But I definitely intend to bypass them as much as I can. All right, so we'll attack there. 7-5. That's a bloody attack up here at St. Vith. And I think just like that, I'm not going to attack with that armor quite yet. That's our turn. So we'll move through to turn number 2. Enemy fighters strafing some of our mounted up troops, and the enemy fighters coming in and attacking some of our strategic bombers near near Bastogne. All right, so now that we've identified those enemy fighters, we'll move our own Messerschmitts in here to attack this enemy squadron. We'll inflict 4 casualties while losing only 1 of our own. They did do some damage on our artillery there, unfortunately. These infantry will move forward to take this forward artillery base. And our armor will run into enemy infantry and get ambushed. Just great. Holy shit, they were nearly wiped out. And they will for sure die next turn. They lost 9 casualties right there. Whoa. Well, we're going to lose that infantry unit. Thankfully, they're not one of our more experienced units. The problem is to move through these woods. We're in forest, and armor gets slaughtered in forests. Alright, let's do this. Let's set these infantry up here. I think our Stukas are going to rebase to this forward air base now, because they're actually out of range where they're currently at to hit any of these guys. And our strategic bombers will also rebase. I really need better infantry at the moment. This is actually clear terrain, so that's okay. I can hold there at Bastogne without too much risk. Nice. Alright, so we drove them out of St. Vith, so we should be able to secure our flank and get a little bit of prestige there. I can't retreat either, so these guys are pretty much doomed. That was just stupid for me to drive my tank forward hell-mell like that. Pell-mell. So there goes that armored unit. They did a little bit of damage to the bad guys. Enemy fighters continue to strafe our artillery, but I think we just broke their back. 4 more casualties against them for just 1 of our own. Alright, let's move. Nice! I landed him right on top of him. Forest, forest. All of this is forest. Some of it appears to be thick forest, however, which is probably worse for our artillery, or tanks. Shit. I advanced my tanks too far forward. They're gonna get themselves slaughtered. Let's move this Stuka over here to hit the enemy artillery. Hopefully that weakens them a little bit. I think the T-13 was also a Czech weapon, wasn't it? Alright. So artillery in the south is going to bombard Bastogne. This infantry will move up. 4 to 4. 2 to 2. So we lost heavy casualties there attacking Bastogne, but at the end of the day, we accomplished our objective. Meanwhile, we destroyed this other unit here. We took St. Vith. Moved that infantry to protect our flank in the north through a little bit more open terrain. I think next turn I may upgrade that infantry to have mobile support. I want to give these guys, like, some ability to move, not just marching. We have 514 more money, so I do think we're going to go with a Panzer IV unit. And we can deploy that forward in Belgium, or in Luxembourg. And those guys already attacked. We'll also purchase an infantry unit here. We could go with paratroopers, but I think I'm just going to go with standard Wehr infantry. I think we'll go with an Opel Blitz. We'll also deploy them in the south. Okay, so that gets as much... actually gives us a stronger force than we started with, in theory. And we'll go ahead and move forward to turn number 4. Yeah, Grainwald, this is a... You know, Order of Battle has similar concepts as a game, but I would say it's a very different game. Oh, no. They didn't quite destroy it. Run away, tanks. Run away and don't die. There are a lot of enemy aircraft. Shit, and I only have one fighter. My Stukas are getting shot up. Is my fighter still way back here? It is. I need to rebase that guy. I can't get any of them closer. Alright, Stuka there. We'll bomb in the north. We'll use our artillery over here. I'll go with 0 to 3. We'll take Bastogne, which will give us 100 points there. And we'll move our artillery forward. Not quite in range to support, but we'll keep moving these infantry through the open terrain in the north. There's no issue of supply with them because they don't have any trucks or anything like that. All right. Meanwhile, okay. Can I pull these tanks back? No, I can't. All I can do is try and reinforce them or move other troops forward. Okay, so I can move them here, but all that's going to do is expose my own tanks to danger. I hate the idea of moving these guys through forest, but that's kind of the choice that you have in this scenario. It's like, oh yeah, forest, you don't like them? Tough. Probably should do everything we can to avoid thick forests. Also, the artillery I have doesn't have long enough range to really support. All right, so we took one of our objectives. There's 3 more. We still have 15 more days, so we've got time. I'm just worried about the makeup of the map. I think the important thing in this battle really is to clear the forest as quick as you can. Meanwhile, these infantry are getting pounded by enemy fortress artillery. That was not as bad. The enemy just attacked our tanks there, and we inflicted 2-to-1 casualties on them. So I'm happy with that result. Meanwhile, it is now rainy, so our aircraft once again can't fly, just like a couple of days in the Norwegian campaign. Looks like it's just gonna be one day like this, though. Okay. So the artillery will pound these infantry here. Move these infantry forward. Move this artillery forward. And our infantry will attack the enemy infantry there. Our tanks will reinforce. So we drove back and nearly destroyed that one enemy infantry unit, which is great. Move these infantry units north to try and avoid the enemy fortress guns. And kind of continue the slog through the forest there. Move tanks to the south. Move artillery up so if the enemy does attack us, then we can bombard them. And we'll keep one infantry unit back at Bastogne while we move these troops through the open terrain in the north. And actually, they're kind of moving close to Philippeville. They may bypass... That might have been the secret, actually. The secret may have been to mass our armor against St. Vith and use the slightly more open terrain up here to blitz west, take Namur, and then drive south on Philippeville. Because once you get to Namur, Philippeville and Hirson are both in open country where tanks will do very well, while you move your infantry down the slow road to Sedan. If I was to play it again, that's probably what I would do differently. Alright, nothing else to do this turn. Now, I don't know about the logistics moving across open country like that, because the game doesn't really do the best job at communicating logistical issues to the player. Alright, so we're going to move our Stukas down here against these tanks. We'll use our other Stukas to finish this enemy infantry unit and scout a little bit ahead. So they just finished off that enemy infantry unit. Our strategic bombers will move up here to soften up these enemy infantry that we've already hit with artillery. Our own artillery will pound these enemy guns, or this enemy armor. Trying to get through the forest as quick as I can. Alright, so we drove the enemy armor back. So I will advance there. I don't know if they're going to hit me in the flank anywhere. A little bit uneasy about that, but I'm going to move my artillery up, hopefully, so that it can support the advance. This one battered armored unit's really kind of cramping our style a little bit. Looks like they do have infantry down here, some French engineers that if they do leave this town could pose a problem. Meanwhile, in the north... Alright, so we're going to do a mass attack here. We've got the enemy, I think, is it our unit or theirs that's encircled? So we'll do a mass attack. We've got troops on 3 sides of the enemy. So the first attack drove them back. The second attack drove them back again. And that should open the road west toward these objectives out here. I think we'll leave these guys in Luxembourg. For now, I don't have enough terrain really to operate freely against them, so I'll move forward for one more turn. The handful of enemy fighters in that unit move forward here to strafe our tanks. Our strategic bombers actually shoot back and inflict a casualty on them. Our Stukas also give a little bit of damage to the enemy fighters, and then some tactical or strategic enemy, actually strategic enemy bombers move in here. I need more fighters. So I'll go and finish off this enemy air unit up here in the north. It's going to be shot down. These mountain troops will move through the forest to destroy that bad guy. I think we're going to try and cut across thick forest, or whatever that forest is. And see if we can move in on this Belgian city in the north. We do, so we get more prestige for taking that town. So we've secured the northern edge of the map at Namur. We could support a move across the river there toward Philippeville. Meanwhile, in the south... can't finish these guys off. I really don't want to take more casualties from enemy fighters, but I will do it just to destroy this unit. Again, they're a threat to my flank. I'll move our armor out here toward the open terrain just to the west of the forest as we approach Sedan. Artillery will move forward also to support the advance. I don't want to leave troops limbered up if they're about to get hit by enemy air attacks, so we won't do that. We've gotten these troops back up to full strength now. We'll leave one unit here. The 4th Very Infantry will probably stay here to prevent a flanking move by these infantry along the fortification line. Does stretch me out a little bit, but... And then I think... And we can't even reach Sedan there. I'd rebase, but I don't think I have any closer bases to the front. Damn you, Stukas, in your limited range. There is an airbase next to Sedan we could base out of, but we have to take it first. So I think that's going to do it for this turn. I don't want to do anything stupid and move air units forward just to die. So I think we'll hang on for another turn and move to turn number 8. Alright, so enemy fortress guns are bombarding our infantry there. More enemy air units there strafing our tanks. More strategic bombers hitting our artillery, actually doing a little bit of damage in addition to the suppression. So our fighter's going to swoop in here and hit the enemy bombers. That's doing the biggest annoyance to us, I think. Shit, there's a river right there. Can we not cross it? I need some pioneer troops for it, I think. Are these pioneers? No, they're Ver. Crap. I don't want to get funneled across a narrow river. Maybe it's just a one-turn delay to crossing the river, but I've been told that crossing the river basically assumes your units are in the water physically. And that's a bad idea, generally speaking. NP40, the game is not in early access yet. Game comes out on March 19th. I believe it starts pre-sales sometime in February. But I don't know what the plan is as far as any kind of like early access or anything like that. Can't do anything with my air units back here, so I guess I might as well reinforce these Stukas to full strength. I mean, I could try and hit the forts on their flank. Just to get some experience if there's no enemy shooting back, I guess. Doesn't hurt. Alright. It's going to be cloudy next turn. The enemy infantry just crossed the river. Actually, they're going to be in a pretty exposed position there. Then they tried to attack. They got shot to pieces. I will take that result. If the enemy wants to move the few units they have in front of Sedan against me in a sort of a preemptive attack, that's a bad idea for the AI, I think. I'm wondering if those troops physically can't cross the river. It looks like this tank, in theory, can, so it's now on a water hex. Trying to move my infantry up ever so slowly. Meanwhile, my handful of fighters will continue to do valiant work. Try and suppress the troops in Sedan itself. Scout out a little bit ahead as well. Whoa! Large enemy force in front of Philippeville. Belgian, anti-tank, French. That's going to be a tough nut to crack. I don't think I've got enough troops in the north there. Any attack there would be unwise. That's why you scout out ahead, which I did not do. So I'm not going to attack there. Can I bring any troops into Namur if I purchase them there? No, I can only bring them into Luxembourg. I can't bring them in anywhere else. Great. I mean, I can move them up here, but what's the point of that? Actually, I think I might be able to move them via rail, at least to Bastogne, maybe even up here. There is a rail maneuver option, so that might be handy. So we'll see about that. Meanwhile, I think that's everybody for turn number 9, so I think we're going to move forward to turn number 10. Also, I can move very quickly up the road once I take Sedan with the troops in the south toward Philippeville. Shit. My tanks are on the river! Well, they didn't do that badly. Enemy cavalry is going to move north there to try and hit my infantry. Whoa! I hope they retreat. Oh no, they died! Enemy artillery finished them off. I really need that airfield at Sedan. These tanks back. Can air hit any of these guys? The fighters can, but the Stukas can't reach. The strategic bombers can hit. Alright, so we can finally get these infantry to the front next turn. So I'm hoping next turn we can finally finish off. Let's go after these enemy fighters. I've been kind of inconsistent targeting fighters or bombers, but it's kind of been going after the ones that are a little bit more nuisance. Whatever's more annoying to me this turn is kind of what I've gone after. Meanwhile, my Stukas, again, can't do anything, so we'll just kind of keep trying to give them a little bit more experience by going for some of these forts over here. Okay. Meanwhile, can I rail these troops somewhere? We can. We can embark them on trains, and we can move them to Namur. So we can very quickly reallocate our troops via rail. I don't know if they stay there for a turn or what. I'm assuming you have to be at a base. Let's do that. I'm going to risk that they won't go after Luxembourg, and I'm going to rail the 11th Grenadier to the north as well. I only have 10 more turns. So then I can bring 2 infantry units up here onto the flank of the enemy troops at Philippeville and come down in relatively open terrain, where my troops got shot to pieces before, so I can hit them from 2 sides. Meanwhile, the infantry will hit Philippeville next turn from the south. Okay, so we'll see how that works out. The water lords are nigh. They're just going to keep bombarding those tanks. Alright, so let's have our fighter finish off the enemy fighter. So it should be safety for our bombers now when we move forward. Meanwhile, we're going to hit this enemy infantry here to the south of Sedan. Looks like good weather again next turn. Where is this bridge blown? If I zoom in here. No, it's intact. Right, we'll cross the river here, give us better combat odds. Then we'll pursue them after they retreat with our tanks. And drive them back. Move our infantry in here. Move our artillery forward here to get it into better supporting position. And then continue moving our infantry forward. Meanwhile, this blocking city, we're going to move our infantry adjacent. Unfortunately, they're going to be sitting on a river hex. It's not ideal. But I'm hoping the enemy won't want to attack out of its defensive fortifications. Also, we will have artillery support on the defensive. Untillery, thank you very much for the follow. Greatly appreciated. All right. So the next turn, we'll take the airfield. We'll rebase our air units north so we can get those Stukas into action. For the moment, we'll continue bombarding those forts. Just again for the experience. And I think that'll do it for this turn. I mean, it could attack them, but those are bad odds, so I probably shouldn't. So the enemy's going to bombard our troops on the river there. Their bombers come in to continue to hit our artillery, but that's all they did this turn. Meanwhile, we're rapidly running out of time. Alright, so infantry moves there. This artillery will bombard. This artillery will bombard. Bring our strategic bombers in here. They can at least hit from that range. Armor will secure the flank by hitting those guys. Four to 7, I'll take it. We took Sedan. Now we can race across the river with our units that have sufficient fuel anyway. Which is not many of them, actually. Logistics are going to be an issue for our other tanks. Alright, so we are going to rebase our Stukas this way. And Sedan has fallen, so there's 2 more objectives now with 7 more turns. Alright, so we are coming down on both sides of the enemy here, so I'm trying to figure out what the best... Super Chacho, thank you very much for the subscription there. I appreciate it. Alright, so we are going to... Where do we want to bombard? I think we'll bombard the enemy artillery. We will be subject to counter-artillery fire. Then we'll go ahead and attack the enemy artillery to weaken them. The enemy artillery will retreat right into the infantry here in the north, and will wipe them out. So that enemy artillery is gone, although they still have a 47mm weapon. We'll move these troops in this direction, and we'll attack the enemy there. We need to remove this supporting fire. That's really the key strategy at this time, because that's going to be a major hindrance to any of our operations against them. If we destroy these guys, it'll make taking Philippeville much easier. Although if they launch a strong counterattack next turn, we could be in some trouble. I think that about does it for this turn, though. So I don't want to attack again there. I don't want to attack the frontal assault with our tanks there, and that's all we have left. We still have 443 prestige, so we can buy some stuff. Can I purchase anything in Sedan? Can I pull like a Panzer IV in Sedan? Doesn't look like it. So I guess I'll just place it in Luxembourg. I'm really going heavy on the tanks, I guess. Maybe I should get more infantry. But we'll save what little money we have. Well, 170, yeah, that's not enough for infantry. Not with mobility support, anyway. The enemy is attacking southwest, trying to break out of the encirclement here at this forward city. Does look like it's a more concerted attack as they bring cavalry forward as well. The first attack, actually, the odds went pretty well in our favor. The second attack went more in their favor. Meanwhile, heavy French tanks are counterattacking at Sedan. Also counterattacking in the north here. So we got a heroic defense from the 9th Grenadiers, which... Whoa. Enemy strategic bombers there. So we got a heroic defense for the 9th Grenadiers here, who were driven back. We'll go ahead and reinforce them. But I'm actually very pleased with that result. We'll go ahead and bombard this enemy artillery here in the front, and we'll go ahead and attack. We'll finish off that enemy unit. And so we're kind of working around the enemy line. I'm going to hold off on attacking there for a moment. Mainly just keeping myself in position to hopefully draw the enemy to attack us. And then we'll go for the city next turn. I think Philippeville should be sufficiently secure with the troops I have up there. Meanwhile, I should have used my air units on those attacks. But I will use my Stukas against this enemy armor and against these pillboxes that stand in our way to the last objective at Hirson. This tank is pretty badly shot up, actually. Alright, let's attack here. And drive them back. We'll attack against those infantry to destroy them. My other air units need to move to the other forward base. So we'll do that this turn. Meanwhile, our fighters will try and finish off the enemy bombers over there. Problem is, I'm not going to have fuel to actually get to Hirson. Let alone, I don't even know what the enemy has in store for us there. These infantry can swing around and hopefully attack this enemy armor and finish it off. Nope. I don't want to attack the pillbox with that infantry. Well... maybe we should. I'll leave those units stationary to get a little bit more fuel. And then I think we'll go ahead and move forward here to turn number 14. So the pillbox attacked our tanks. Wow, did quite a bit of damage there. Enemy armor counterattacked south of this town. I'm okay with that result, I think. Cavalry goes after the 9th Grenadiers, who are very heavily suppressed. Driven back. Looks like there's one heavy enemy artillery battery. And the enemy seems to have a lot of vehicles up here in the south near Sedan. They're counterattacking there pretty strongly. So we'll move our Stukas in here to hit these Recce's. Move these other Stukas over here to hit these tanks. We'll suppress that guy and make him worthless. Yeah, we only get 1 supply per turn. I thought it was more than that. Well, that's going to be a problem. I don't even think I'm going to get to the Hirson in time. Alright, so we'll move here against this enemy artillery. Again, the artillery seems to be the key thing if you want to unbuckle an enemy position and take it. Move to the rear of this armor. Yikes. That was not the result I was hoping for. Alright, so we're threatening the objective to their rear. Meanwhile, there's a bigger battle going on in front of the objective. I might be able to get to Hirson from Philippeville with the troops I have there also. Alright, so we'll move forward to turn number 15. That means we got 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. That means 6 more turns to move there. Enemy anti-aircraft shooting at her. Stuka's actually doing a bit of damage there. So I think that finished off. Yep, we destroyed that enemy artillery here near Philippeville. We'll take this objective. Gives us a little bit more prestige, and we force this enemy infantry unit to surrender, which is great. Very nice. Alright, so we have now taken this roadway. Philippeville, I think, will probably fall in the next few days. Well, I don't want to attack it quite yet. We'll reinforce those troops. I don't want to attack it quite yet. We could move those Stukas up there to finish off those enemy infantry, but I think we need to focus on the troops in the south first. So we overran them. That armor overran and then destroyed 2 enemy units. Actually was able to attack 3 times. So now we can kind of break out here, hopefully, a little bit. Alright, so we've encircled this enemy. Need to force the pillbox to surrender. Look like I can do that. Meanwhile, we'll reinforce these guys. Alright, so I think just maybe we're in a good position finally. Meanwhile, our fighters are still based way back here, aren't they? So we're going to rebase these guys. Oh, I keep forgetting I have this tank back here. I don't know if it will get to the front anytime soon. Also, we might be able to railroad... I don't have enough prestige to buy someone. I was going to say, we might be able to railroad troops up to Sedan now that we've taken that. Seems like using your railways is actually kind of a new mechanic for this game that is also vital to your success there. Yeah, Order of Battle is free to play, but I don't really know what comes with that. I think it's pretty limited. Alright, so Move forward here. I think it's just like the boot camp, almost like just the tutorial. More enemy armor? Alright, so we'll bomb these guys with artillery. I think we'll wait one more turn before we hit Philippeville. I want to reduce the enemy anti-aircraft up there. Meanwhile, our infantry will finish this fort off. More enemy armor to our front by the looks of it. Good thing we have our Stukas in the south here. We'll go ahead and hit these guys. Ju-88 will hit that Stuka. The anti-aircraft will come into play. I wish if there was like a mechanic like with Unity of Command where if you're on an airbase, then you get, you know, you're not as penalized here. Cephas Kane 2912, thank you for the follow. I took heavy casualties there, but my goal was to make the enemy cavalry up there impotent and unable to resist us. I'm hoping that succeeded. I really wish there was like a resupply button. I think the supply more than anything is annoying me because it's not very clear how it works. Okay, so enemy anti-aircraft hits our fighters. Meanwhile, the enemy in Philippeville actually attacks out of the city. This enemy armor that we bombarded attacks our infantry, but doesn't really do anything. My Stukas will go in and hopefully finish it off. So, like, I guess what people are saying is if you only have one supply, you shouldn't move. So I'll bring up my Panzer IVs, which came all the way up from Luxembourg. They'll overrun and finish that enemy off. They can't move anymore. But now we can move these infantry north. We can also move our artillery north. Because those guns, I think, are horse-drawn or something to that effect. So we might get one infantry close to the city. Meanwhile, I'm going to move this Stuka. I guess I'll take the casualties. Alright, so that... he drove that cavalry back. Let's bring our strategic bombers forward as well. Wait, 3-1. I'm hoping that's just suppression, not actual casualties. Yes, okay, good. 4-3. I'll go 4-3. I'll take those heavy casualties. It's an objective and we're running low on time. We really need to take it. So we vastly weaken the enemy base there. We reinforce 2 infantry units pretty heavily. So that should help. Alright, so I think Philippeville is in hand now. The main question is, what does the enemy have at Sedan? And can we deal with it with only the skeleton troops that we can get there? It looks like all they have is a lone enemy infantry unit, which should be manageable, even in just 3 turns. Although our troops are under strength, so we might only have 2 turns, really, which could mean only 1 turn because we're going to have to rest a turn to resupply. But we'll see. Also, it might be just out of range of my Stukas, which could make things a lot more difficult. Right, enemy armor attacking there. The resupply thing annoys me because I don't know how it works. It's spoken like a real German general. I mean, I guess what I mean by that is the game does not do a good job of communicating how the resupply works. That's my main issue, really. Alright, so we just took Philippville. I'm actually going to drive this over here. I might be able to get this artillery in range for 1 bombardment on the last turn also. Alright, so those guys can move. I'll reinforce these guys to near full strength. I'll move this artillery into range. I'm going to move this armor actually to take this airfield. Because then we can move our aircraft, which are just 1 hex out of range, into range. So we're going to get 2 infantry, almost full strength, but not quite into range of this enemy base. We're going to have artillery in range as well for 2 turns. And then we'll probably have armor for 1. Although maybe not, it's out of fuel now, so... So we'll see how this comes out. Hey, coffee filter. You just get here. I tried to stream a little bit earlier at a better time. No, there's an enemy armored unit there. God damn it. Well, so much for that plan. I guess I can take the airfield in the north. I'm really nervous about moving my artillery out here. I'm worried the enemy might have something out that way. So I think what I'll do is I will... That's a Ju-87. Where's the... Bf-109 I thought has longer range. I can't even hit it with strategic bombers. Why can't I rebase here? Oh, come on. Oh, no, I can... Okay, so they should be able to hit next turn. Apparently they're not even based this far forward, so... Reinforce that artillery to full strength. Move the infantry into position. This armor just can't get there. They don't have the supplies. I honestly think I'm going to come up just short. It's going to piss me off. Alright, we're going to take a risk. So we can have 2 artillery batteries firing on the enemy city. We'll move this artillery in the north, so we're going to have 2 artillery batteries pounding it. We'll have 2 infantry units attacking. We'll have at least one... We'll only be able to do 1 air attack because you can't swap and stack. So it's really going to come down to the last turn. Interesting that they attacked out of the city. Didn't quite work out for me on the attack there. There's more enemy infantry down here? Great. Pioneers, too. Well, at least that our... Oh, God. I thought for a second that it was raining. Those guys can't do anything. Can the strategic bombers at least suppress them? They can't even reach there! Fuck. Alright, let's hit them with artillery first. So we took out 4 of their defenses. Alright. Now, the question... I'll reinforce this guy. So the question that I really need to ask myself... is what are we better off doing? Attacking 3 to 4, then moving another 3 to 4 up and hoping we drive them back? Or moving up and hoping the mass attack improves our odds? I think I'm going to go with 3 to 4 here. Yes. Yes, we took the city. They retreated. We drove them back. Victory! Breakthrough at Sedan by the skin of our teeth. Hell yeah! Disgruntled Panda, thank you very much for the follow. Man, that was a bloody near-run thing. Alright, guys, I'm going to go ahead and jump in here and end this video, another long one. We won the Battle of Sedan, but that is only the beginning. The next fight jumps you straight into the drive on the Channel Coast, and resources are becoming a really big challenge, a really big problem for me. I'm using too much prestige by reinforcing everybody with elite units. I really need to be conserving my resources and picking my spots where I use elite units. I need to be more careful about taking casualties, or I can feel that I'll very quickly get into a fatal funnel where I'll be fighting battles that I have no chance to win from the start, or fighting battles where I savage my forces so badly that I have no real chance to win from the start. So that's something I think I need to do a better job of managing, and I think this game provides really a lot of challenges there in sort of teasing out what the right strategy and is to sort of manage your reinforcements without just replacing everything with completely green troops. I can only imagine what a mess Russia will be. With that being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and here and cut this one off. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This was taken from a live stream from a couple of days ago. But with that all being said, please leave your thoughts below. Let me know what you'd like to see more of if you're enjoying the series. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. So until next time, guys, this is the Historical Gamer saying once again, thank you for watching. And until next time, I'm out.